So, Spud, I'm in the middle of Hurricane Brendan. What's the fucking business with naming hurricanes and storms stupid names?
I don't mind if they're being named, but at least give them something exotic. Fucking Brendan.
Brendan.
You know?
Well, it's obviously they're just running out of names, I assume, is it, at this point?
It's the letter B, you know? I mean, it's not early, because they start every year, don't they? They start back at A again. Is that what they're doing?
Is that how it works? Right,
I think
okay.
that's how it works, yeah.
Right.
I'm going to unplug my earphones, Tommy, just for a second, because they're all wrapped up. So you talk among yourselves there, will you?
Yeah, awesome. So one of the main things that you'll find that when you do a podcast with someone is that they're never got their shit together, ever. Particularly if that person is Spud.
Particularly if it's me, I'm awful, you know?
Yeah.
And imagine how bad I used to be, because like since moving to Poland, I've become much more on time, because Polish people are annoyingly on time, as in like they're early for fucking everything.
Yeah, I'm like
it.
that. I'm totally like that.
Are you early for everything, are you?
Yeah, but I mean, I do it early and I wait outside. I don't arrive. You know, I like being early. It's more that I don't like being late rather than I like being early.
Well, you know the way that in Ireland, like you have like a house party and you're like, yeah, sure, we won't be starting until 8 o'clock, which means like don't bother
10.
coming. Yeah, exactly. Don't bother coming until 10:30. If you tell a Polish person that party's at 8, they'll be there at 7:30, 7:45.
Right,
I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready.
I'm not that person. I'm the person who goes that if I have an appointment with the doctor at 9 o'clock, I'm there at 9:15. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have this babysitter, and like we get her whatever time, like whatever 9 o'clock, whatever, and she'll come 9:15, but she doesn't want the 15 minutes of extra pay. I don't get it. Just happy days, but
yeah. Is that a like a pride thing, or is that just it's not a don't? It's like
no, it's a faux pas to be late in Poland. You just don't do it. You know?
And then arriving early is on her back, rather, so she can't impose on you.
Yep.
Oh no, that's fair. That's fair.
It's not fair.
I wouldn't do it, but fair. You know, well, not fair. I understand it. I understand the logic. So yeah, it was interesting. I was reading The Witcher, because I've started reading that, obviously, because I've jumped on the bandwagon since Netflix, and I've been playing the game and I've been enjoying it. I've actually got the mod where I have Henry Cavill's head on The Witcher for the game. It's really funny because it's good, but it's like a PlayStation 1 model in with all these PlayStation 4 models. It's just like kind of all the rest of them have like, you know, texture on their skin, and there's this big shiny Superman head going around. It is. But in the first one of the first stories, the guy, he goes and he gets talking to this monster in a house or something, I don't know what it is, but he says, what do you think, what are you expecting here, some sort of 40 servants? And I went, that's mad.
Did he say that? Did he?
Yeah, the 40 servants is written on it. So I was like, there you go. If you're ever looking for a sink, a kitchen sink, then there's one.
That's a great game, isn't it? I'm not much of a gamer, but that's probably one of my favourites.
I'm trying to work out why I like it, because it's not as if that it's any different from any other RPG, but it's not annoying. You know, the missions aren't. It's not run, talk to him, now come back to me, and you go, oh, for God's sake, if I do that.
Well, it is that, but at least you're getting to kill ogres and those. What are those? The women that are beach mermaid monsters. What are they called?
The drowners.
Drowners, yeah, they're pretty cool. And there's wraiths and stuff as well. I really like it. And I think as well, part of my enjoyment is that, like, you know, when he's going around these landscapes, I'm like, I know where that is. I know exactly where that is. I know where that's based on, because I live there.
Oh,
you know?
right, I just assumed totally made up, but it's actually...
that's what Poland looks like, a lot of that.
All right.
Yeah.
With the drowners and the wraiths.
With the drowners and the wraiths and the monsters and the killing and the raping and the pillaging. And
Oh yeah, it was really weird. There was like a sex scene in it last night in one of the missions, and I was going, is this the first time I've actually had to experience a sex scene in a game? I think it is. Like, obviously I've seen nudity here now, but a full movement of trusting...
gyrating.
Like, yeah, it was very. I felt uncomfortable. So it felt more voyeuristic than watching porn. You know what I mean? It felt no. I shouldn't be. No, there's something.
And do you like Trish, or do you like the other one? What's the other? Yennefer.
Well, you see, I've only met Yennefer the once so far, because I'm a guy who spends most of his time doing the side missions than the main missions.
Ah, okay, weirdo.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not weirdo. That's a known quantity. It's a known thing. It's like when I get Far Cry. They're my favorite games. All of the thing is the side missions. You know, pulling posters off walls, or whatever it is. But So the other one is The Witch. I spent most of the time, but I haven't even gone to Triss. I have one of the missions where you have to go and talk to her, and I haven't. But I can't even remember what the other one's name is, because the blondie witch who has a
Seri.
Yeah. No, that's not the daughter. The other one. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, at the start. Oh yeah, no, spoiler.
The one that has her, the bust just kind of on show constantly.
Yeah, she disappears though. You never see her again.
Yeah, no, I sent her to some place, and supposedly that's the good thing to do, because otherwise she dies every other way. I don't know.
Fucking hell, crazy, huh? It's a good game though. It's very good.
Yeah,
game.
and I do the thing with the books where I have the book and I get the audio book and the sync up with Kindle and all that kind of stuff. But it's weird because there's an accent in the audiobooks. It's done really, really well. Your man has great different characters, but the actual Witcher accent isn't, the deep, it's kind of this country English. All right, here we go. It's like, oh no.
Good.
But technically you should have a Polish accent, right? It's a Polish book, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. But it's all ripped off of fucking Tolkien anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all much of a muchness.
Like your man, the Andrzej, I forget I can't pronounce his surname, man. Yeah, something mad. But he's pretty much exactly like Alan Moore in that he hates anything that's done with his books that he hasn't done.
I've read though that he says that Henry Cavill is the Witcher for him now, but I don't know if that's here's 50 grand. Will you say that Henry Cavill is the perfect Witcher?
That's what it is, because there is a Polish series as well, which was made many years ago, and it's not meant to be.
It's on Prime. It's on Amazon Prime. I must watch it.
No, I wouldn't bother. To be honest, I don't know.
To watch it.
Any of my Polish mates that I've asked about, they're like, nah, it's crap.
It's like kind of equivalent of, remember Dick Turpin, the BBC thing? Is it?
It's like
something like that.
It's a Saturday afternoon program rather than something that's reflective of the books.
I was watching the first Dracula, the new Sherlock People's Dracula. Have you seen any of it?
What's a Sherlock people? What?
Sherlock, the BBC Sherlock.
Sherlock Holmes, like.
Yeah, Bernard Cumber Banana.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't watch that. Bernard Cuntyface.
That's the exact one. But the guys who did that, Mark, they did Doctor Who as well. All those BBC.
Oh no, God no, Tommy, no,
you
don't know me at all.
No, I don't. I'm not into Doctor Who. Jeez, please, know that about me at least. But they've done Dracula, and it's good. It's a kind of reimagining, and they've upped it. But the guy, I've only seen the first episode, and the Dracula guy himself just reminds me of your man Williams. What's his name? That guy. He does the kids' books now, but he was in Computer Season. Yeah, and I'm just like, oh no, and I can't get past it. Like he kind of does. It's kind of similar, but it's like, oh no. But other than that, it's worth watching. It's a different take on it, and it's.
Watchmen is good. Have you seen Watchmen yet?
No, you see, I keep going.
Watchmen's class, man.
I know it is, and it's like it's this thing. Here's the problem. There's only so much concentration you can put on the telly when you have a kid, and you have to kind of take your battles. So you go. It's one of those things where I know I want to watch every single second of it, so I'm trying to get the time. And by the time you get to the point where you're he's asleep, and then Vanessa goes, right, I will watch it with you, or whatever it is. What you actually want to watch is something where your brain, switches off. So you end up putting on Friends or something, or Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But I'm really looking forward to it.
Obviously, you love your wife more than I love mine. That you actually spend time together. Because usually I'm watching something on telly and she's reading a book. And we don't talk.
Well, it's I have a similar relationship, other than at least she pretends that she's going to watch it, and what happens is 5 minutes into the TV show she's on her phone shopping. But that's also the problem, because what happens, and this happened with Witcher, but I just persevered through, was that we start watching it, she'll go do something or be on her phone, and then halfway through or towards the end of the first episode, she go, I've no idea what's going on. And then you go, well, I put on another one. No. And I go like, you didn't even give it a chance. So I'm afraid of that happening thing. But no, I understand it. I mean, if you're, she wants to switch her brain off. She enjoys telly for brain deadness, not to be challenged or whatever. It's not quite challenging TV, but not to be. She just wants to switch off, and I get it. I understand it. Whereas I don't. I find that boring, or it's kind of a waste of time, because I don't know how to relax or enjoy myself or any of those things. So even my entertainment has to be somewhat I have to have some reason behind it other than just.
I think that's the reason I like football so much. It's because it's, for anyone who doesn't like football, football's the same thing all the time. But it's not the same thing all the time. It's a little bit different every time, and that's enough to kind of kill my brain. It's something that I can focus on, and the whole world just kind of melts away, and it's just a way of relaxing. I think it is anyway. Unless I've money on it, then it's not relaxing at all.
Yeah, then not at all. Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah.
Then it's the opposite.
I find that with games, like you do that you just kind of lose yourself in it. But if there's a certain point that I find that if I get kind of that insidious thought into me, I should be doing something productive. I just can't. It just ruins it, and I kind of can't relax into it.
I think I was quite close to becoming like what we would call a gamer, rather than a fan of something else. But the thing was, what kind of turned me against games a little bit. I still play. I still have the what do I have? Xbox. I still have it. I play it every now and again. But my problem with it is that even like missions now are like that's 45 minutes I got to put aside just for one mission.
Yeah.
It's too long, man.
That's why I couldn't get into Red Dead Redemption, because there's no. I'll jump into the here for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
you can't.
None of that.
Because you go in and you've done the first 2 stages of a mission and you can't save the game, and then you go, well, if I stop now, I'm never playing this game again because I'm not replaying those 2 missions. And so I just never play the game anyway. Which is why I like Far Cry, because you can literally go and go, right, I've pulled 5 posters off the wall, run up a tower, 10 minutes, done, and then I can...
Yeah. I get you.
And so Witcher's a bit like that. So that's why the side mission thing is easier, because you can go, kill a drowner, go back, talk to your man, get your coins, fuck off.
So, Tommy, tell us what's this new 40 Servants project you have?
Well, the thing, last year I started this thing on Patreon. That was Study Group, where I was going to look at different books and basically read them out.
Come here. There's something on fire behind you, yeah?
What? Oh, yeah, the incense. Jesus Christ, man, don't do that to me.
I've been waiting to do that since we started.
Oh, man. I've a tender heart.
I'm going to wait till Tommy gets really serious about something and then tell him something's on fire.
Yeah, because I have the heater beside me and I was going, it's a bit warm here. But anyway, you rascal. But yeah, so the study group, and I was reading through some books that I thought were relevant to kind of magic or whatever the thing, and eventually, do different things. So we did a couple of books, and did one on runes, and then I did one on by a guy called Peter Kingsley, and he gave out to me for this. So, which, fair enough, like it's copyrighted material and all that kind of stuff. But I think, fair usage and stuff, and he does talk about it in different places that he would like help to spread the word in this. The reason he's not getting any help is because anytime anyone does anything, he shuts them down. Yeah. But he was quite polite and nice and all that in a kind of a thing.
Well, it's no different than I listen to the News Talk radio, and every Friday they have a book club thing where someone comes on, and Pat Kenny's very into his literature, so he reviews a book, and then there's a book club from somewhere around Ireland, and they'll also talk about the book and why the book is good and why it's bad. And what's the difference here? Well,
the difference is I was reading it the entire book. That's the difference.
Were you?
Yeah. Okay. So in a sense, if I was reading it and giving my thoughts as I went along, that kind of like a director's commentary, like a reader's commentary. In the same way, like Bootsy did the reality transurfing, which you've noticed he had to take down as well, all of the reality transurfing audiobooks have been taken down due to copyright stuff. So I assumed they were legit, but that was Vadim's channel itself. But turns out, not so much.
No. Anyway, he said thanks for the follow yesterday. The Vadim is on Twitter. I presume it's a bot, but it still felt pretty good to get a like from Mr. Zealand.
Yeah. I'd say he's a madman. I'd say
he's a looper.
Yeah.
In a good way, though.
Oh yeah, there's no way that you come up with something like that and just maybe so, I don't know, because it's like I wonder if people have that kind of thing about me having done the 40 Servants, and you go, and then you listen to a podcast or something and go, oh no, he's just normal, he's just an idiot.
Tommy, you're not normal, man. I'm not giving you that.
So anyway, in the whole of what the study group was, I goes, well, I kind of like the idea of it, but what can I do instead? And the only thing that I have full copyright control of is the 40 Servants, so no one can get in trouble. I'm sure it'll be some trouble or whatever. There always is. But so I said, let's do like a deep dive into the 40 Servants and see what we come up with. Kind of, approach it from a fresh place or something like that. Because, it's 3 years out now. And the kind of thing that I have to always stress with people is I didn't think anyone would care about them, and it was kind of, in a sense, it was a bit... Certainly the original PDF that I wrote was very throwaway, just kind of, I better have something for people to, to read, for the 10 people who might be interested in this. And then I had to quickly rewrite it when, more people got into it or whatever. But I was reading through it the other day, and there's a lot of it I don't really kind of agree with anymore, not... And it's like, there's a thing in it with the 40 servants that people go very weird with it. And I'm kind of talking to you about this behind the scenes, in that you have people getting very strange ideas. One over the weekend on the Chaos Magic Reddit forum, where was a guy talking about he did the introduction ritual. One of my regrets about the 40 Servants book is that I call it an initiation ritual, which it's not, because we've talked about this when we were talking about Helio. It's an introductory thing. Well, I mean, semantics, blah, blah, blah. But he was saying that he got talking to the saint, and the saint told him that there was between 11,000 and 12,000 people initiated into 40 servants, and that he says he thinks the number was 11,234, whatever it was. And I was going like, well, obviously, yeah, well, I mean, fair enough that, have whatever kind of experience you want or whatever, but it's then when it's presented as fact, and I was going, well, I know for a fact there's not 12,000 people initiated into 40 servants, because I know many people have bought them, and I know many people who... going by the Facebook group, the amount of people who've actually done the 40-day kind of introductory ritual, I would say, is probably 20 people, 25 people, but possibly more. I'm being a bit kind of, what's the word?
Facetious, Tommy.
That's the word. That's the exact word, and I couldn't get there. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
And then there was this one which I was telling you, which was very worrying, and I kind of really... There was a point where I was going, well, maybe this is a bad idea, this is kind of a thing where people have an issue with the fixer because they think there's this thing where it's the whole representation of the fixer is that you can do anything you want if you're willing to pay the price, or any problem can be solved, in the kind of sense of that if you want to write a book, you have to sit down and write the book. That's the price. But what people kind of got from it was that they had to in some way sacrifice something unrelated to get. So like if you want your X back, this guy got the idea that the fixer says, you have to give me your eye. And I was going like, how could you possibly think that's a good idea? Or what is going on that would be, but it's kind of, if that was just a one-off kind of thing, but there was a couple of different things where people had very strange ideas about, and I'm kind of getting worried, going like, oh, Jesus, am I responsible? If someone...
obviously, Tommy, you are, it's all
well, I
your
am
fault.
Completely 100%. But in a way, it's like, because then you're kind of thinking of like, the Columbine shootings, and then Marilyn Manson got blamed and stuff like that. Is he responsible for that?
No.
And in some way, well, he's not, but it's like... I think in the end it turned out they weren't even really listening to Marilyn Manson, which is kind of thing. But say someone like Marilyn Manson said on a record, fuck authority, and then someone takes that and fucks authority. Is he responsible for that? I think in a way he is. Not to, Marilyn Manson, when you see him now, he's become the man he rebelled against. But so it's just kind of one of the things I kind of worry about, but I'm a worrier, is that people will take these ideas and kind of go a bit nuts with it, in a kind of, in a bad way, and something bad will happen.
I understand, but it's like there's kind of that leaves kind of two avenues then, doesn't it? It's either that like you decide what the rules are and people have to stick with them, or people interpret them. And I'm pretty sure you'd be more of the second type than the
I would
first
absolutely
type.
be, yeah.
But then you don't have to take responsibility. I mean, the Catholic Church doesn't take responsibility for its paedophile priests.
No, but you don't want to be that. You don't want to. I don't want.
That's a very far
I know,
stretch.
I understand, but I don't want to be. I don't want to add to more bullshit in the world. You know what I mean? The whole point of it, the sermon, is to help. Well, it was to help me. To try and work out things and all that, and then, if other people, good for that as well. But it's like kind of, you don't want to add to more confusion. You don't want to add to the terrible woo. You don't want. Well, I don't. I don't want to be. I don't want people's lives to get worse out of something that I created. That's kind of thing.
No, of course,
But I also,
but like you can't have any control over that, you know.
No, you can. Well, you can. I can delete it all off the internet.
Well,
you know,
okay, you can.
Yeah. But even now, I probably couldn't because there's all the files are out there, all of the, you know, there's no kind of getting away from it. Or you could very publicly wash your hands with. But I don't. This is all kind of in a sense coming out of it's coming out of fear, and I suppose some sort of idea that I have that, you know, that I have a kind of a fear of success in a way, because I feel that something bad's going to happen, because it's, you know, this Catholic guilt or whatever it is, or something more, that you kind of, if something good happens, then there has to be the balancing force of something terrible, and I don't quite believe that, but I do have a kind of an expectation of the other you know, the other shoe dropping, or whatever that expression is, or whatever that saying is. The other shoe, what is this? The other shoe's going to fall.
The other shoe lit the candle, and then the birds died in the hand.
And that's it. But then I kind of look around, and you look at people like, you know, Rhonda Byrne, who did the Law of Attraction, and all the mentalness that people have gone with that, you know, the secret type thing. And like, she's no, you know, she didn't ever get in trouble, and she got an Oprah out of it, you know. And it's not that I suppose I'm afraid of being in trouble. Well, maybe there is an element of afraid of the man coming and getting me, you know, you caused this or something. But I don't know, like, what is the legality of you can pretty much say anything you want in the world, can you? Like, only thing I think you're not allowed to say is that you can't say, I have the cure for cancer. I think that, no, I think there's an actual law that you're not allowed to say that. Yeah, I think that, well, in America, because I know I was watching a documentary about some faith healer dude who said, I can cure cancer. And they went, no, you can't, and you're going to prison because you're not allowed to say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's too many cancers anyway, so cancer isn't one thing, so it's impossible. No, Tommy, for me, there are too many steps involved for other people for you to... Okay, look, let's say something like someone did spoon their fucking eye out with a rusty spoon because he wanted to have sex with it, whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But like, okay, yeah, if it was me, I would feel responsible, but like, it's not your fault that someone is
insane.
Well, insane. No, but it's not your fault that he made, like, there's a decision process there, and you didn't. There's too many steps involved for you to take full blame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, but like, it's living with yourself. Whether
and plus, like, the more it happens, the less it'll bother you.
The more atrocities you see done in your name, the less you care about it.
You'll become desensitized, and you'll be fine, and you'll be a multimillionaire, thanks to your cards.
Right. That's great. But I suppose it's the thing you said as well, that come back to, is that you have the two avenues where you can go, well, here's the rules, and everyone has to stick to them. And the part of me, the chaos magician in me, says, you know, subjective experience, do what you want. But the person who doesn't want people to be insane and pull their eyes out and stuff, kind of go, here's the rules. So my kind of approach is, here's what I think, and you do whatever you think, but don't tell anyone else that that's the truth. You know, have your personal kind of experience with it, but don't then come onto 47's Facebook group or Reddit or whatever it is and then go, I was talking to the saint, and the saint told me that I'm now in charge of the 47s, or whatever it is, you know. Because there is that kind of weird thing that happens. I've seen it with other people, and then I goes, well, this is bound to happen at some stage for me, where someone creates something, and then someone else decides that they know better than the creator. And then try, you know, so I think Tommy got this wrong when he said this about the healer, and you're kind of going, no, I didn't at all, because I came up with what the healer was.
Yeah.
You know,
of course.
But you do see it with other people, kind of with other, particularly in magic and stuff. You do see it with other people's systems, or you go, I think Aleister Crowley got this wrong, and you go, well, like, no, like, who are you to say that? You know, like, it's like, or whatever. But it's this kind of notion of, I suppose, the thing that is the debate is, what are the 47s? You know, and I mean, if you are considering them as... So, the first thing we're going to do in the study group of the 47s is we're going to approach them, do another kind of 40-day ritual where each day you pick a servant, starting from the end, working back, and try to see what the servant is about, have a reintroduction. And it was kind of, the idea is that if you see them as external to yourself, then you spend the 40 days seeing them as part of yourself, as only psychological type of things. And if you see them as psychological things, then you are to look at them as external things. And to see what happens, and see that do you get any kind of insights or a new kind of understanding or stuff like of it. Because I think we can kind of have these ideas about whatever it is, and then you can get stuck in them, and then if you try to see it from a completely different perspective.
I know exactly what you mean. I was listening to that, remember that podcast I was talking about before, and they were talking about happiness. It's called, oh God, he sends out an email every Sunday called Farnham Street. Let me get the name of the podcast here again. It's really, really good. It's called the Knowledge Project. And yesterday, or a couple of days ago, he was talking to a fairly famous mathematician in America. And I know nothing. I'm terrible at maths. But and what was cool was during the podcast he was like, he asked him something like, why do people stop liking maths, and he says, well, with people it's always a certain stage. It's like someone liked algebra but didn't like calculus, or someone liked geometry but then they started doing fractions and then they lost them or whatever. And he was saying that he has this class in university where they have to do these strange problem solving things with maths, but it's more to teach them how to think critically, and one of them was, right, well, if you do instead of measuring distance by how the crow flies, how many kilometers or miles away something is, instead do it like the block system that they have in American cities. So for example, if you have to get to a pet store, how many blocks away is it? So it's 2 up, 3 across, and then he's like, okay, very good. So let's say then we have to make a circle out of that, but the points move like a knight piece on a chess, so you can go 3 up, 1 across, or and then he's like, okay, now you have that. What's it look like? And it took a while for the class to get it, and then suddenly one girl goes, no, it's impossible. And he's like, well, no, okay, what did you find? And she had drawn out, and it was a diamond instead of a circle.
Right.
And he was like, well, exactly. You're seeing the shape of something in a different realm or something. So it's just a different way of thinking about the same thing,
Yeah, it's exactly that. But it's because I find I do that. I kind of lock myself into type of things and kind of beliefs or whatever. And it's like, even sometimes when you talk to someone who's completely opposing views to yourself, like say politically or I don't know, whatever it is, and then you kind of see yourself through their eyes and you kind of go, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense, or it reinforces whatever is the thing. But it's just kind of with chaos magic and the whole idea of paradigm shifting. Have you come across that idea? Well, I know you know what the words mean, but it's this kind of like
well, I know what they mean when they're separate.
Separate, yeah. So it's about taking a belief or doing something wholeheartedly and believe it's true, but something that you don't currently believe is true. Or it's like, it's like kind of similar to go and spend a summer being a Mormon, but fully commit to it, and see the life through, or look at your problems, but look at them like how your mother would see them. How would your mother see that problem? Or how would Albert Einstein see that problem? Or, spend 6 weeks only listening to country music, but try to like it, but love it, and then get into this type of thing. So that's kind of my approach to what I want to try and do with the study group initially, is to, whatever your approach to them is, see it as a different way or whatever. But it's a kind of an odd one when you do that. It's because it's again going back to this kind of feeling that you don't want people to get weird ideas about it. It's doing it in a sense as a thought exercise, but fully committed to it. It's not kind of half-hearted kind of thing. So like if you who only strictly think that 47s are aspects of you, right? That would be fair, right? So you just see it totally psychological.
I think it's psychological, yeah.
Yeah, right. So for you then would be the approach would be to spend 40 days doing each servant, but seeing them and approaching them as actual external things, and see if that changes your kind of approach to them or your understanding them or whatever. And then at the end of the 40 days, go back and think whatever you want.
Yeah.
But with the hope, though, that you would have learned some kind of insight or whatever. Because ultimately, I don't know what they are. I can tell you what I think they are, which is, I think they're, parts of your brain. I think they're thought forms. That's what servitor means. It's a thought form. It's an idea. But ideas can sometimes at least feel external to you, in the sense of that when you think of the idea of Superman, like that's definitely in my head, but it's an external idea. I didn't come up with it. It's kind of, and there's like aspects of Apollo, the sun god. You could model Superman in the sense of, you could take on his attributes of truth, justice, and the American way, or whatever, that kind of freedom thing, upholding the law, being the good guy, making sure, the damsel is rescued it's in the distress. So you can certainly invoke the qualities from it and stuff, but it's an external idea. But you can go one step further and you could see, look at it as if it's Apollo, which is, the sun god, but seeing it as an actual deity or something like that. So when I think of the 40 servants, when I say to you, I feel they're external, I think it's in the the Superman sense, not the Apollo sense, if that makes sense.
I understand you. Yeah.
Yeah. So when people say, are the spirits? Well, it's like people saying, are the real? It define real and define spirits, or define this type of thing. I feel like archetypes certainly seem external, but they're acting on you in a way differently than, I suppose, saints or gods or demons or whatever are classically meant to kind of act. Yeah. But I also don't want to stop people from thinking they're spirits if that works for them, because the whole idea of chaos magic is what works for you.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a dilemma in my head. Not a dilemma, that's too strong a word, but a thing in my head where I don't want people to get the wrong idea of what I think they are, but I also don't want to limit your kind of expression of it. But by not limiting other people's expression of it, your leads to people thinking that the fixer is telling them to take the riot. So that, that's kind of where.
And do you think? Okay, so let's say then that some kind of consensus comes about. It won't work for all 40, but I presume that there'll be a discussion every day on this Discord, yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely on Facebook anyway.
Okay. So then what happens then if there's some kind of what was the word I just said?
Consensus.
What if there's a consensus on what something means that you haven't thought of before? Will you then go back to your PDF and say,
It would have to depend, wouldn't it? You can have public opinion that can be massively wrong and harmful and, thing. But, I don't know. That's a good question. What would it have to be? I think it doesn't fundamentally change the nature of what they are. If there was a consensus that the healer suddenly was now to be seen as a destructive element, then I'd go, no, that's not what that. But you know what I mean? That's not what that represents. That's fundamentally changing what that idea is. You know?
Yeah. Because the thing is, well, there's quite a few of them. Well, I suppose you could argue all of them if you really wanted to, but there's a few of them that you can look at in negative. They have positives, but have negatives as well. The one I'm thinking of is the media. For me, the media is mostly negative. As someone who was a journalist or is, or I suppose whatever. But at the same time, you can spin it as good as well. So I wonder what.
The media, the good thing of media is your own public image. Uh-huh. Have you a good public image? So it's not just a kind of. It can be let me see. Who's someone who's seen as Keanu Reeves? The media representation of Keanu Reeves is eternally positive because everyone loves him. He's, the internet's boy. So that would be a positive aspect of the media. The bad side of the media, the negative thing, is the Edward Bernays shit that we talked about, and that kind of thing. But it depends.
Piers Morgan.
Yeah, thing. But the media is more as, I suppose, public opinion or opinion of things outside of yourself. So it's kind of what do other people think of you rather than what you think of you. Could be one, kind of thing. But yeah, there's definitely kind of the pleated, it's or the desperate.
Yeah.
But there is, like, I mean, that's an emotion. That's a thing that we have. Like, it's not. But I don't think there's any kind of. There's no attacking kind of servant. There's no warrior. There's no soldier. There's no. I suppose the closest would be the opposer, which is, the representation of limiting forces from outside you, like the world, society, people at work, hierarchies, that kind of thing. But there's no.
That's funny because the opposer is something that I could see as something positive, because he's like, no, he stands up against, he stands up for the underdog, because the how to say it. So the opposer is like the plucky underdog, like Syria or Iran, and then the bad guy is America. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that would probably more fall under the protester than the opposer, though. That's the person who stands up for that thing. The opposer is just definitely a kind of a representation of outside limiting forces, where the devil is the representation of your inner demons. It's like, it's your limiting beliefs. It's your things that you have about the world or about yourself that hold you back, whereas the opposer is the actual things in the world that oppose you. Or money would be an opposer if you don't have it. Or Claire, the bitch in your office, who's always stopping you
always
from
a Claire.
or whatever, or the like Reddit's obsession with the Karen, kind of archetype.
Yeah. And what about, so where did the grimoire, is that what they're called? The 4 other cards. I don't understand them. What's that all about?
A grimoire is just it comes from the word grammar. It's the same thing. It's the word. It's like, so it's a collection. It's like kind of a fancy name for a book or a collection of things. But usually,
no. Sorry, I mean, the other 4 cards.
Oh, the 4 devils.
What's that all about?
Well, that was when I was an admin of a group on Facebook called CMG, which is Chaos Magic Group, which is very popular kind of chaos magic group, but it has its own kind of spirit to it, and it's very trolly, very kind of Discordian, and it can be quite a nasty negative place to feud. And it was kind of, I'd done that for a few years, and then I came out of it, and I says, right, I'm leaving because I've had enough. And that day I says, well, I've some time to kill, so I did these 4 devils based on wealth, health, happiness. What is wealth, health, happiness, wisdom? So I think they're 4 kind of simple qualities, because you have 40, so you have all these kind of things. But what would be 4 very simple things? And I just kind of threw that there, again, expecting that it would, no one would care. Just a couple of people, oh, that's an interesting thing. And then, it went insane, and people, just really liked them and stuff like that. And I really don't like them, because it was very much a throwaway, and I don't use them. And had I known that they would become anyway popular, I wouldn't have done it. Not that I think there's anything inherently wrong with them. They're very rushed. They don't make sense. The healer and the wisdom images should be the other way around, but they're not. And then I got not in trouble, but I noticed that the artwork I had from one of them, Cranvock, was very, very similar to a photograph by this photographer who's really big. What's his name? I can't remember his name now. My brain's not working. He's big on Instagram, but and his name kind of sounds very actually similar to Cranvock as well. And I definitely knew the photo. There's no question that I had seen that photo before, so it was in my mind, and it's very similar. And that kind of freaked me out as well. It's going like, and then I redid the image, redrew it or whatever, and that second image looks like another of his photos that I hadn't seen, but I was not aware of this, and I was like, and I've just gone, oh, this is all very strange. That kind of. It was that thing. I felt something bad was going to happen out of the thing. So it kind of put me all off the whole type of thing. But people really liked them. It's kind of that thing, I suppose, like, you don't know Tony Robbins, we talked about before, but he had this 30-day program called Personal Power. And one of the things that people said to him was that, oh, I don't have 30 days. So then he made the 7-day version of it. So, I mean, there's the 47s, and then there's like the 4 card kind of version of it as well. But very much it was just the health, wealth, happiness, and wisdom, the 4 kind of pillars, if you want, and then call them devils because that's aesthetically more pleasing than the 4 angels, which by all accounts angels seem more terrifying than devils anyway. But that's it, and I don't use them in divination. I don't use them, but I don't really use the 47s for magic much anymore either. It's mostly just for divination. It's like trying to get different perspective on kind of things. So I don't use them, approach them in the same way that, say, people start using them, and it's my own fault because it's the language I use in the grimoire. You know, as Irish people do the saints. You know, like as intermediaries and this kind of thing. And I was kind of always, my push was to learn how to do that myself. You know, that's my kind of a goal as a magician, is not to call on the demons from grimoires, or not to ask for saints to intercede on my behalf, or not go to God and plead my case, but to learn how to do this thing myself, which is what my attraction, I suppose, to sigils or vision boards or any of these things, because it feels like I'm the person, I'm the agent of change, rather than kind of going cap in hand to, you know, Boone and saying, give me some money, dude. You know, and here's my firstborn in as return.
You got a deal.
But I also know, like, people have different, like Alistair Crowley, the Goetia, Let's Key Solomon is it would be a well-known kind of grimoire, and it's he said very early in his life that he believes that there are aspects of the brain. That's all that the demons of the Goetia are. He seems to have changed his mind about that at the end, or at least his language implies that he changed his mind, and people debate whether he does or not. But it then comes down to that question, or that kind of thing of, if there are aspects of the mind, you know, define mind. You know, like, what, like, or if you go into the young collective unconsciousness, you know, it's not just Spud making it up. It's all of us kind of collectively making it up. And if we're all collectively making it up, isn't that kind of real? You know, like the kind of archetype of, say, the Messiah figure, or, you know, the Savior or the Redeemer or something like that. That's in our collective unconscious. That's a kind of, again, what I was saying a bit before about, like, the Superman thing. It's an external idea, but that it's not real in the way this computer screen in front of me is real. But it's real because it's like money's not real, but it really is, you know.
Yeah,
because
we've all bought into it.
We've bought into the idea, you know. So it's like, so I find it hard, I suppose, the balancing act is between trying to encourage people, you know, to be good chaos magicians, but it's steer them away from being weird, and also trying to, you know, just be honest about what I think they are, or what, you know, and this kind of thing, and with the acknowledgement that I don't know the answer. I could say to him, I do not think the 47s are spirits. I 100% don't think they are. But I also know that when I've written books or written graphic novels, that the characters seem to take on a life of their own. But I know that's part of the creative process and stuff like that. So I don't want to stifle any of that and that kind of thing. But I wouldn't want to tell someone who thinks they're the spirits that they're not, if it's working for them. But I also,
do you imagine that, like, how to put this? So say, for example, someone does tarot reading, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, would you be like, nah, fuck the tarot, use my cards, they're way better?
No, I would be like, I'm going to use my cards because they're purposely designed for me to use them. But, like, I mean, if you find a tarot better, definitely go and go. Like, it's the thing when people ask me, like, it happens on Reddit and stuff, we go, oh, should I do this? You know, which is 47? Go, do the thing that works for you. You know, I don't present it as the greatest magical system. I don't present it as the greatest oracle system. I says, here's the thing. If you're into it, fine. But definitely don't struggle with it. Like, if you aren't finding it useful, you know, that's cool. That's fine. It's definitely, like, I mean, it's not an infallible system. I made it up. You know what I mean? It's not like, it's not a channeled word of God. It's not something. There's no kind of, I don't know. It's like, I don't like pushing it on people. I don't like pushing it on people also because of that thing of I don't want to give too much of my opinion on it or something. I don't know. It's hard to know. It's a very strange thing that I haven't fully got my head around, because it's so weird that's something I did because I had a few months left before I thought I had to get a real job because my life was falling apart, then became this thing, you know.
But then it stepped in and saved you, you know.
Well, there's that, yeah. Well, it definitely did, but it's also, see, if I would go back and I would change a lot, but then it's not what it is. You know what I mean? You know what? You know, the reason why I think it probably worked is because I wasn't trying to do something brilliant. You know,
I wonder, like, you know, I have wondered this. Like, I have to wonder, like, what's the kind of, what's going to happen to this in 20, 40, 50, 80 years time? Like, are there going to be like fan fiction subreddits of the Fixer and shit like that?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like it's kind of, yeah. What happens? Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
there is a point, obviously, where I just kind of have to let go of and trying to just a little bit. It's like kind of in Brazil they went weirdo much quicker than anywhere else, and I kind of had to leave the groups and not kind of. I was going to say not be on top, just kind of let them do it because it's there's no stopping it in a way, and it's you're just people are going to have these ideas and kind of I don't know, it's odd. I don't know exactly where I'm going with that, but yeah, it's like trying to. It's like, in a sense, people say the big thing is that they're trying to say that they've changed from being servitors to egregores. Do you know that word, egregore? Egregore is like the equivalent of a servitor, but it's made by a group of people for the benefit of a group of people.
Here are some details.
What is that? Hey Google, is Sarah? So Sarah, Google thinks I want to talk about Sarah McLachlan in the arms of an angel. That's weird. And my phone is on silent, so I don't know why. Anyway,
that's bizarre.
Think we should do a documentary.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
Egregores.
Egregores. Yeah. So but people kind of go, do you think the 47s have become egregores? And I was going, well, I don't, because there weren't things made by a group of people for a group of people. They were made by me for me. That's just what happens. But the question really people are asking is, do you think that they've evolved to have a life of their own? And I'm hesitant in that because there's a thing that people think that servitors, if you leave them around long enough, go bad and start wrecking your life. And it comes from this idea of tulpas, which I'm sure you've come across in the woo-woo kind of thing. Have you? Tulpas?
Nope.
Tulpas are kind of a bad translation of a Tibetan idea of a kind of, in many ways, an imaginary friend, or that sometimes are animals and sometimes the people create. They're thought forms, but they create as companions and stuff. And if you think people are weird about servitors, my God, you should hang out with people who are into tulpas. But there is this kind of idea that if you have a tulpa for long enough, it'll go bad and start wrecking your life and start like almost poltergeist activity in your house or bring bad luck, but it'll turn foul in some way. And that there has to be a shelf life of it, and that you have a cut-off point that after whatever it is, 6 weeks, you kill them. Or
you gotta kill your puppy, huh?
Well, this is it. And this kind of was brought into servitors as well because, it just kind of crossed over.
I'm not buying it. You're not selling it to me, Tommy.
Oh, I don't buy it at all. And it's kind of the people who seem my experience of it, the people who said that to me are people whose lives already seem quite chaotic, and that type of mad stuff seems to happen. Mm-hmm. And so then if they have a servitor, it kind of seems a thing that happens to them rather than, their life is already unbalanced and all that kind of thing. I personally have never, like, people talk about magic backfiring on them and, getting bitten in the ass and all. I don't really have much experience of that. Things haven't really bitten me in the ass much. Maybe I don't do kind of weird enough magic or kind of whatever it is, but it's not something, and I certainly have never had a servitor pull a book off my shelf or run rampant or brought bad luck to me or anything like this. The 44 of them, if included 40 of them, have brought me nothing but good luck. You know what I mean? It massively improved my life financially, personally, emotionally, mentally, whatever you want. So that's when people then say, do you think they've become egregores? My kind of thing is that I don't want. I say no because it implies this kind of thing of that if they have a life of their own, an evolution of their own and all that they can change their nature into this kind of nasty servitor tulpa thing.
Yeah.
But obviously,
yeah, no, they can't really. Like, it's kind of like I know what you mean. It's kind of like Saint Francis of Assisi can't become the saint of lost and found things because that's
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. But it's also kind of are the 47s egregores? No, because that's the bad translation or the bad definition of that. Have they a life of their own? Yes, but in so much as the healer will never not be the healer. The healer won't become a snake or a warrior, or
of course, yeah.
they'll have their own life. And of course they do. In the same way that when you write a book or you write a song, it goes into the world and has its own life. Most people's songs go nowhere. But like you look at it, U2, and their songs are as much, you know, the world's as theirs. And people have, you know, they have their own kind of, well, this song means this to me, and Bonham can go, well, that you know, one is about AIDS, telling your dad you have AIDS.
So this is not a rebel song. It's called Sunday Bloody Sunday. It's a fucking rebel song,
It's a rebel song, yeah. Or
You know?
like say, like the song One, and you know, Bonham has said it's about either a dad or a son telling his dad he's gay or he's AIDS or something. It depends on what mood you get Bono in. But someone could listen to that and go, this is about, you know, a breakup I had, and you go. But it's like so. It's in a sense when people say egregore, that's what they kind of mean. That it has a life of its own. And I do. The 47s definitely have a life of their own. But they're never, ever, ever, ever going to change in nature because they can't. Because that's what they are.
Yeah.
The healer is the healer. The saint is the saint. The fixer is the fixer, and he's not going to ask for your eye, no matter what. It could. But they, you know, it's like, I don't know. It's like if you let them, and if you don't kind of. I suppose teach them or, you know, control them in some way, then people have kind of these ideas.
You know, like even like the way I like to use them is probably totally wrong. Like I don't even. It's like with the randonauting thing. You're supposed to set an intention. I don't even do that.
Yeah.
Like I don't have any intention. I let my mind go blank. I'll take out 3, and then I'll pick the one that's like, okay, yeah, I know what that means. All right, let's do that today. You know, so I just totally blank it, just totally blank, and then. Okay, like it wouldn't be like I would never be, but it's the same. Like I never got tarot or fortune reading or anything like that because it's like okay, how do I get the fuck that blonde lady, you know, and pull out 3 cards and like no, that's the universe doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I think my kind of approach to divination is not really fortune telling in the sense of it's not going to. I'm never going to ask a question really about a prediction. It'll be about give me a perspective on this. You know, talk to me like as if I was talking to you. If I said, I'm having a problem with, you know, my wife, and you go, well, you know, here's the thing. You are not able to go, well, in 2 months' time, you will find that it'll be a rainy day. There'll be a tall, dark man who'll come in. That's not what divination is for me. But some people can do that with tarot, or at least it appears to be that thing. But mine
they
is strict.
They can.
Well,
maybe they can. Okay, whatever.
Maybe they can. Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever.
So it's like when I do readings for other people, it's always kind of under the approach of this is not the word of God. This is not truth. This is like advice from a friend. This is another perspective. This is viewing your problem through the lens of 3 archetypes and what they would say to you about your problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's immensely helpful because it allows you to see the same thing as the paradigm shifting or the belief shifting I was talking about earlier. It allows you to see your problems from a perspective or a view that you probably wouldn't ever see it from. And, you know, giving it kind of an insight in that kind of way. And it can feel very woo-woo when you do that. And there probably is elements of, you know, you're picking up on different things or whatever. Maybe people say that's just body language or you know the person or whatever it is. Whatever it is, the thing. When sometimes you can get an immensely accurate reading doing an oracle kind of reading that seems to defy reductionist materialists like Dawkins' kind of view of the world. But I don't know. It could just appear to be like that. But I do find it immensely helpful, even in a very mundane, reductionist materialist point of view, that if I look at my problem through the lens of the opposer, it's going to tell me something different than just looking at it from my current perspective. So it's that kind of the approach you leave in your mind blanking it. Is it just tell me something in a sense? Is it like, oh...
But no, well, yeah, either tell me something or else kind of like, right, it's kind of like, wait, what should I be thinking about? I think it's a kind of an unconscious thing. It's like, how to explain it in that way? It's kind of like if you look up at the stars and you see a pattern and then it gives you a meaning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you know, like,
but it's like the pareidolia. You're making the pattern, though. You're making the meaning.
Yeah.
It's not inherent in the stars.
But that's because I think that these are all, like you said earlier, I think that these are all archetypes that are in our head, but archetypes that we all obviously kind of agree on. You know,
Yeah.
we all know the mother figure, we all know the
Sure.
priest figure, we all know these things.
Yeah.
But it's that like, right? So I'll take out 3 cards or whatever, and then I think the one that speaks the loudest, if that makes sense, that's something I need to look at. Or, for example,
Or pay attention to, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Or it's hinting at something. It's like, and you just kind of connect the dots. Then you're like, okay, I get it. Okay, time to make tea.
On Reddit at the weekend there was a kind of reply to that guy who said the saying that told him that there's 12,000 people initiated, and one of the responses was from Rachel Melody, and she's a girl I know from Facebook, and she goes, "Listen, you're all taking this way too seriously." I was going, yeah, I totally agree with that, and like, which is why the new introduction to the YouTube channel, like, they had to do a new one because my licensing ran out on the music I was using, so I just used a new one. It's why I made it the most ridiculous thing I could, so it not to be serious, to not be, because spirituality and magic, and particularly the occult, can be quite serious and quite kind of, you have edgelords in one sense, he's real kind of almost gosh, I'm a demonologist, this, and you have people who are really serious about, like, armchair occultists, and it's all can be quite serious, and which is why it's kind of Discordian, which is I think it can be quite light-hearted and fun and thing, but that gets too much into trolling, and I don't like that either. But there was Stuart Wilde, the guy who I have an awful lot of fondness for. He's a mental case, and an awful lot of what he says is complete hogwash. But fine, that's fine. He's some good stuff. But he says, like, seriousness is a disease.
Yeah.
And that's so true.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I'd like to inject. I think we can do all this serious business and be funny with it, and not be. But I don't think it's irreverent to take these things funny. It's like, you're not allowed to laugh at Jesus. Well, I'm sure Jesus laughed at Jesus.
Well, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Look, that's why I started back with the podcast. That's why I've decided not to go after the serious stuff. Like, I had been playing with going after Gemma Doherty and Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage and doing expose stuff. But to be honest, the way I see it now, it's just kind of, you're just adding fuel to their fire, and it's better to kind of kill them with kindness. Like, they're bad people.
Yeah.
But
a podcast's not going to change them.
Well, exactly.
Well, maybe it would.
But it's not, because you're just going to annoy their fans, and then they'll annoy you, and you're just kind of creating badness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's enough in the world. I'd rather. I'm going to be doing I'm going to be doing a microdosing podcast. Like, that's far more interesting.
Yeah.
And
I
can't wait to see the results of that. Like, that's going to be. I'm putting myself under the microscope, taking drugs every day for a month. Mental.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing? Like, it's gonna be good crack.
So if there's no podcast next week, it's because Spud's in a mental home. He overdosed on his
I'm getting a new
psilocybin.
Pink Floyd tattoo, man. How many have you got now? 17.
Yeah.
It's day
next
17.
week, the 47s, they're spirits, man. They're definitely spirits. They were talking to me. They told me these things. The fixer wants my eye.
Yeah, so, I think, I just think creating, but what you're talking about here, the trolly people and the people who take things too seriously, I think it's important to, you can talk about serious things, of course, and it's important to be serious on many, many topics, but at the same time, like, life's too fucking short.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I could walk down to get the kids and I get run over by a bus. It's unlikely because there's no buses on my street. But it could happen.
It could happen, yeah. Or any other thing. Like, people get hit by meteorites and die. I mean, like, it's very unlikely. It does happen.
Does happen.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of, because that dovetails back into just what I was saying earlier on, is that you don't want to be adding to the shit of the world. There's enough.
No.
So that's my kind of trepidation about the 47s, is I don't want them ever to add to the badness that's already there. And it's just that's a fear of mine, but that's a general fear of mine. It's not just about the 47s, it's about everything I do. I don't want my YouTube channel to add. I don't want my presence in the world to anyway add to anyone's suffering, certainly not my own. I'm a great man at adding to my own suffering. But so yeah, that's kind of it. And I mean, all opinions subject to change, once, if I gain more insight into something, I might change, I might not, but Yeah, I think that's kind of it. That's all I want to say. Yeah, so a bit of advertising. So we're doing a year of study group into the 40 servants on Patreon. So if you want to get in on that, the video went up today. This is going up today as well. Is it? It goes up on Patreon today, which is the introduction. You've seen the video. It's the thing I sent you the other day. Just what the actual ritual is about and all of those type of things. But that's starting next week. So if you're into it, it's kind of, that makes me feel weird too. Like if you're into it, pay me some money on Patreon and you can join the gang. You know, you can experience this stuff. But I give so much of my stuff away free that I think I'm entitled to every now and again do something that isn't free. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, any closing? Have you come up with a closer for our podcast yet? Have you come up with a trademark kind of ending that we can do? No.
Bye.
Bye. Perfect.
Or bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.